On India Upfront, viewers, we stick to the big story of the day. This is a war of attrition and it is being played out right now in the Supreme Court. What we are being told, viewers, is that the Supreme Court is veering around to the point that a floor test is not irreversible, and that if it is found at a later date that the MLAs need to be disqualified, they will be. So viewers, given that, it is quite possible that tomorrow the Supreme Court will hold the floor test. Now again, I don't want to preempt the court, but this is what is trickling out right now as furious arguments unfold between the Shinde camp and the Uddhav Thackeray camp. The top 10 developments are on your screens, viewers. In the midst of it all, a cabinet meeting has been held by Uddhav Thackeray. And in this cabinet meeting, Uddhav Thackeray has made major concessions to his Hindu vote bank. He has come out and said that two cities in Maharashtra, Osmanabad and Aurangabad, will be renamed. Aurangabad's name will be changed to Shambhaji Nagar. And Osmanabad's name, viewers, will be changed also. Navi Mumbai Airport will be changed to D.R. Patil Airport. Osmanabad will be changed to Dharashiv. This, viewers, many people are saying is a nod to those who have said that he has stopped advocating the cause that was espoused by his own father, Bal Thackeray, and that was the cause of Hindutva. After that, Uddhav Thackeray walked out of that meeting as it ended, and then folded hands. He greeted everybody. But there was an air of finality about that folded hand gesture, viewers. It was almost as if he was thanking everybody for having helped him in the last 2.5 years. As you can see, viewers, and he also said, forgive me if I made many mistakes, but I have been betrayed by my own, and I'm thankful for your cooperation. An air of resignation around Uddhav Thackeray. Many people are telling us that he's going to quit the moment the Supreme Court goes ahead and says that the governor's decision to go ahead with the floor test is valid. Yes, if the Supreme Court, viewers, upholds the governor's decision to conduct the floor test at 11 o'clock tomorrow, which will be the final showdown of numbers, Uddhav Thackeray might actually quit. I want to go straight across right now to our reporters on the ground to get an instant update on what is happening in the courts and what is happening in the political theatre, the political arena. Arunil, first to you. Dramatic developments in just the last 1 hour. Uddhav Thackeray suddenly wearing his Hindutva hat. Many people are saying that this is a big stunt to save his seat, that the Uddhav Sarkar is in a minority, but it is busy playing the Hindutva card late in the day. He's renamed Aurangabad, Osmanabad, and of course, BJP and the Shiv Sena have mocked the stunt. They've said that you dumped Hindus to grab power. Now you're grasping Hindutva to save your seat. How does this work?
Well, Rahul, I was there inside the cabinet meeting, outside. Basically, when the cabinet meeting was taking place, I was covering it. I had reached Mantralaya just before CM Uddhav Thackeray arrived. The kind of body posture of CM Uddhav Thackeray, it reflected that today indeed is his last day. That seemed like that it was his last day, because the people working inside the Mantralaya, probably they were also giving a diktat. They were told that it is the last day of the CM, and that's why many of them, almost all the workers, had gathered down to catch the last glimpse of CM Uddhav Thackeray. And when he arrived, he came with folded hands. He greeted everybody. When he went inside the meeting as well, while speaking to his cabinet members, he thanked each and everyone for their support in the last 2.5 years. He also asked for an apology, said that if I have committed any mistake, against any of you. I asked for an apology and mentioned about the fact he hit out at the rebel MLA, saying that I have been betrayed by my own. And after
also told you that he might quit. In fact, if the Supreme Court comes out and upholds the governor's decision to conduct a floor test, Arunil, that's what you were telling us a little while back.
Well, that is right, Rahul. In fact, I spoke to the close sources, not only from Shiv Sena, but from the other two parties as well. The two stakeholders in the Mahavikas Aghadi, that is the Congress and the NCP. And it is very much true. In fact, they have, the Mahavikas Aghadi has accepted that they clearly don't have the numbers. Devendra Fadnavis is extremely confident of reaching the 170 mark. And considering the fact that there will be a huge embarrassment for not only CM Uddhav Thackeray, you have to remember that he's the son of the legendary Bal Saheb Thackeray, as well as for the Congress and the NCP. It has been mutually decided that if the apex court order is against CM Uddhav Thackeray and the MBA government, then CM Uddhav Thackeray is expected to step down from his post as the CM of Maharashtra. I was mentioning about the point as well that the decisions that were taken inside, they were taken in a haste. Yesterday only Anil Parab, the close confidant of CM Uddhav Thackeray, made a demand that Aurangabad should be renamed as Sambhajinagar, and only in a day, without any opposition from the Congress and the NCP, there was slight opposition considering Aslam Sheikh, the Congress.
Well, look at all these feckless parties, viewers. Look at all these feckless parties. They've been resisting these name changes for a while. Why? Because they said that this will be a betrayal of the secular character of our government. And now, just to hang on to power, they've rubber-stamped a decision that was taken by Uddhav Thackeray, perhaps in a last bid to save his seat, as a major nod to the Shinde camp that has said that, look, you betrayed our cause, you betrayed Bala Thackre's legacy. And now the NCP, the Congress have all worn their little soft Hindutva hats and have decided to rubber stamp this decision. The MIM, however, has said that this is a sellout, this is not acceptable to them, and one can expect that the two MLAs that the MIM has, in the event of a floor test, will perhaps abstain or vote against Uddhav Thackeray. That could also happen. That will complicate matters more, because every number today counts, viewers. Every number. Wafer-thin margins are at work here. I want to go across to Nilashis. Nilashis, what's happening in the Supreme Court?
Well, after 2.5 hours or more of the hearing, Rahul, the hearing appears to be in its last stages. The Solicitor General is arguing on behalf of the governor at this point. And in fact, before he commenced his arguments, there was a very interesting observation made by the Supreme Court, which has time and time again, in fact, indicated its inclination, rather, towards allowing a floor test. It has been said that we do not think the matter will become infructuous, alluding to Abhishek Manu Singhvi's argument that the matter is pending before court already with respect to the disqualification of the rebel MLAs and that of the Speaker's position. So he says that suppose we find later that the floor test was conducted without authority, we can annul it, and it is not an irreversible situation. So the inclination towards allowing a floor test is clear. But at this point, the Solicitor General is arguing for the governor and saying that the Speaker cannot decide his voter list, Speaker cannot decide his electoral college. The Supreme Court has asked if the office of the Speaker can be misused when the government loses majority. The answer to that is yes. One can always ask some member to be present to present a disqualification petition, and I as a Speaker can decide the electoral college. So I will be deciding who will be voting on removal. The basic point that the Solicitor General is making on behalf of the governor of the state at this point is that the Speaker has not been interdicted by the Supreme Court. The Constitution bench's writ is what interdicts him. Having cleared that doubt, I do not understand how the order of the governor is bad in law. The parameters for challenging the governor's order
is going to be one complicated hearing, viewers. It's one complicated hearing. Many citations, many precedents will be thrown up there. It is all going to be very confusing, but at the end of the day, Times Now will bring you the outcome, and that outcome is expected in the next half an hour, 40 minutes, viewers, as the Supreme Court hears all the stakeholders and then makes up its mind. Now, remember, the governor has already taken that crucial giant step Yes, without the concurrence of the cabinet, without the concurrence of the chief minister's led cabinet, but he has certainly taken it in the interest of upholding the mandate of the people and in the interest of the state. That's what he says. That's being argued in the court, viewers. But can you imagine Uddhav Thackeray suddenly remembers what many people are accusing him of, abandoning the Hindutva path. And I want to open this up because this is replete also with implications for the state of Maharashtra and the polity. Let me go straight across first to Sanjay Supariwala. Sanjay Supariwala, suddenly you are naming two cities and an airport. Two cities, Aurangabad and Osangabad. For a long time, you had been resisting this, saying that this would be a sellout to the forces of Hindutva. Sanjay Jha is also listening. He's Congress. And somebody who would be holding the secular flag and wondering what has gone wrong. Sanjay Jha, let me first begin with you. I want to ask you, what's gone on? What's going on to save your seat? You are clutching on to Hindutva hot button issues. I mean, you really have lost the right to rule, morally, abandoned.
Well, Rahul, a simple answer. This is a collective decision taken by the Maharashtra cabinet.
Okay.
All the members, whether it is the Shiv Sena or the NCP or the Congress, have debated this issue from time to time. They have agreed on some, they have differed on some. I don't think this has got anything to do with saving the government and trying to appropriate some Hindutva tag.
So on the last
now
day,
it is a matter is up to the Supreme Court.
No. So on the last day, what could be the putative last day? 1 second, Supariwala ji, 1 second, please.
I agree with what Sanjay Jha is saying.
Don't jump on me, sir. Please, let's be. Look, I know you are
putting a point across.
Sajid bhai, I know, sir. I know you are an enthusiastic party worker. Now just chill. Give me 30 seconds, please. Okay, just 30 seconds. Let me finish off with Sanjay Jha. I'm having a conversation with him, please. Now, Sanjay Jha, I just want to ask you, your party is on record to say that Aurangabad's name should not be changed. Now suddenly, one day before a floor test, under attack for betraying the cause of Hindutva, you do a pole vault. I thought this was a party that said that name changes don't bring a better development record. You opposed it in Gurugram or Gurgaon. You've opposed it in Ayodhya. You've opposed it in Varanasi. You've opposed it everywhere. Why?
Rahul, can I give you a succinct answer? I've said it earlier, I'll repeat it again. This has been a coalition, the Maha Vikas Aghadi, that has surprised its worst critics and cynics. The government has performed. It may fall, it may not fall. I don't know. I'm not going to make a prognostication as to what's going to happen tomorrow or day after. But the government has performed. Now, there are certain decisions. You'll agree that even the NCP and Congress, when they work together, where you believe there's ideological compatibility, yet there were political differences. With the Shiv Sena, this was a unique experiment. There were some issues where they agreed, where they did not agree. Today, they are all standing together with Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. And I believe this is a message to the Eknath Shinde camp that, you have to wait for the Supreme Court verdict. And let me tell you one thing, Rahul. Tomorrow, there will be a whip by the Shiv Sena to vote with the MVA. And if the 35 or 39 people go against it, they anyway face a potential disqualification, whatever the verdict that comes on the 11th of July. The situation remains politically fluid. And I think at the moment, it will be rather presumptuous to do any second guessing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this fine exercise in gymnastics. Sanjay Jha, I have to hand it to you. You should write the manual on hypocrisy. Simple. I mean, I must hand it to you. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi is raising his hand. Congress Aurangabad District President Kalyan Kale was quoted. He said, we only believe in MVA's common minimum program. We want development, good roads and adequate water. I don't think Shiv Sena will disagree with any of this. Renaming the city should not be a political agenda. If you ask people about whether they mind calling it Sambhaji Nagar, no one will object. But is it the need of the hour? No. Suddenly, just before a floor test, it becomes the need of the hour, as they say, viewers. As they say. As they say, viewers, 1 hour is a long time in politics. Dr. Trivedi, ये क्या हो रहा है?
Rahul, can I? Yes. Rahul, I would like to begin with what Mr. Sanjay Jha is saying and what the Congress party is saying by a famous quote of Sant Kabir. चलती चक्की देख के दिया कबीरा रोए, दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचे न कोई. In the duality, it's very difficult to survive. On one hand, Congress is taking a stand. Now they are okay with changing the name of Aurangabad. On other hand, look whom they have sent in Rajya Sabha from Maharashtra. Imran Pratapgadi, who has gone to Aurangabad, shed tears on the cover of Aurangzeb and praised such a thing. He was such a great patriarch, Pacha, Ghazi, Zinda Pir. Ek taraf wo aur dusri taraf ye. This is the dichotomy of the character which the Congress party is facing. And as far as the present situation in Maharashtra is concerned, Mr. Sanjay Jha was saying that the whip will be issued, but whip is issued by whom? By the leader of the legislature party. So who is the leader? Who was the leader of the party of Shiv Sena? It was Eknath Shinde. When it was removed, sir, it cannot be by an executive order of the party president, not like the kingship, not like by the nomination. The meeting of the MLAs should have taken and they should have elected the leader of their legislative party by a proper majority vote. When the meeting has happened, how they got elected, then how the leader has become the leader. So that's why there are so many technical situations are there that I can just say there are three things: constitutional, moral and political. On constitutional, the court will decide. On the political and moral, I would just like to say there are another dichotomy. They are having alliance with NCP. NCP क्यों बनी थी? Foreign origin का leader नहीं होना चाहिए. And it is there in the constitution of nationalist Congress party. पर दोनों हाथ मिलाते हैं. शिव सेना के साथ हाथ मिलाते हैं. And today's judgment of the Maharashtra cabinet has nothing but uphold the moral victory of the Eknath Shinde camp and as well as the ideology of BJP. And now Shiv Sena has proven that they have shed the legacy of Bala Saheb Thackeray, क्योंकि बाला साहब ठाकरे कहते थे कि मैं तो ज्यादा कट्टर हिंदू हूं, बट अब आपने दिखा दिया कि भाई अब तो you are following the path of BJP. So you have passed the baton to BJP and you yourself had shed your legacy, and those your legislators who are trying to bring you to the right path, you have not given them a proper hearing. Okay. And now they are nothing but let me bring in Imtiaz Jalil. Nothing can be done because there is no use of crying over this.
Let me bring in Imtiaz Jalil.
Trivedi ji.
No, one second. Supariwala ji, I'm asking you a question based on what Imtiaz Jalil has said. Now just listen to me. Imtiaz Jalil, viewers, is that same hate-spewing MIM MP who threatened to hang Nupur Sharma. Chalo, that's a separate issue. But let me come back to the main point. Imtiaz Jalil and his party, the MIM, led by the great Owaisi Sahab, what did they say? We are supporting who? We are supporting the Aghadi in the Rajya Sabha elections. Why? Because the common enemy is the bigoted BJP. Now, Imtiaz Jalil, after hearing Uddhav Thackeray doing the somersault and being cheered on the balancing beam by both the NCP and the Congress, says, there is a saying that a dying man will resort to desperate means. Ahead of tomorrow's floor test, they realize that their government is going, they're losing their chair, they're thinking, when will they again return to power? So while going out of office, they suddenly remembered Sambhaji Maharaj. I want to tell Uddhav Thackeray and Shiv Sena that history cannot be changed, though names can be changed. When they don't have anything else to show, they are presenting a good example of low-level politics.
Can I come in?
Mr. Supariwala, low-level politics from your ally. I'm not saying it anymore. The BJP is not saying it. MIM that supported you is saying it.
Can I come in?
Yes, sir.
First of foremost, I have told you innumerable times that Imtiaz Jalil is not an authority on any minority or my party. My party leader is Shiv Sena's leader is Uddhav Saheb Thackeray. He is the Kudumb Pramukh of Maharashtra. He is the CM of Maharashtra who has proved himself. He does not need these kinds of attitudes or these kinds of actions to be the king of Maharashtra. He is the Kudumb Pramukh. He is not only my Pramukh. he is the Maharashtra Kudumb Pramukh. So first and foremost, he has been praised in the 5 top CMs of the world, not India. So let me tell you one thing, that he does not need any support or any kind of praises from these kinds of people.
Okay.
India is not my party colleague. He is not a voice of minority. I believe that whatever decisions are being taken,
okay.
1 minute, let me complete, please. Let me complete.
I'm not stopping you. I'm only saying okay. Am I allowed?
The only decisions which have been taken today is not because he wants to save his seat. He was willing to give up Varsha at that time also.
Right.
He left Varsha. He came to Matoshri.
Okay.
He said, मैंने वर्षा छोड़ा है, अपनी जिद नहीं छोड़ी है. और ठाकरे की जो जिद होती है ना, वो कोई छोटी जिद नहीं होती है, वो होती है महाराष्ट्र के भले के लिए.
Right.
रही बात संजय झा जी ने जो कहा, I agree with that. It has been taken after consideration of all the 3 parties in the coalition government.
Okay.
So it is not a singular decision. Our Kudumb Pramukh, our CM, Honorable CM Uddhav Thackeray has taken a decision. We should not pinpoint on those. We should wait for the future to be happening.
Okay.
And I think Uddhav Sahib will always remain.
He will always remain.
The financier of all eyes. He will always remain the beloved of everybody, no matter what people say.
ठीक है.
People like
Now can I come in, sir? Can I ask you a question, Mr. Supariwala?
Like Jaleel doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay. He should then have been in jail. If he doesn't make a difference to you, he should have been in jail. He was not even jailed. Anyhow, 1 minute. Let me ask you a follow-up question. Since you have talked about the common minimum program and collective decision making, and Sanjay Jha has talked about it.
अभी वो मुद्दा ही नहीं है. That is not the
ठीक है, वो
topic
मुद्दा
here.
ही नहीं है. चलिए, मुद्दा भी फाड़ के आपने फेंक दिया. चलिए, अब मैं आपको जरा असली मुद्दे की बात बताता हूं. Now I'll bring you on to board with the real mudda. Now look, Sanjay Jha on this debate says that this was a joint decision. Supariwala says this was a joint decision. Now viewers, on January 7, 2021, Bala Sahib Thorat of the Congress. Sanjay Jha, can you tell me who Bala Sahib Thorat of the Congress was or is?
Rahul, carry on. I think we all know who he is.
No, who he is. I want to hear from you.
No, I don't have to respond to a very rhetorical question.
So, okay, it's not rhetorical. I just wanted you to establish his bona fides, because you might say that he is so common and so minimum that we don't recognize him as an authority anymore. But nonetheless, let me come back to the point. Bala Sahib Thorat, the Congress on Jan 7, 2021, said, changing names is not part of the common minimum program of Mahavikas Aghadi. Our party does not believe in it. Has the life of anyone changed qualitatively in places where such name changes have occurred?
So you want me to respond to that?
Smita Prakash, now they have changed and amended the CMP to make it both common and minimum. Why do you think this has been done?
I think basically by this evening or by this afternoon, Uddhav Thackeray knew which way the winds are blowing, and his last attempt, I think, at trying to say that, you know, he is still on the side of Hindutva, or his coalition is still on or the coalition that he heads is still on the side of Hindutva, even though it has, it has a farcical grouping which doesn't believe in the Hindutva, neither the NCP nor the Congress. It's all right not to believe in Hindutva. It's a free country. It's a free democracy. You don't have to believe in the Hindutva. And just because you're part of the coalition, it may not have been part of their common minimum program. But to bring it in this last act of the government, probably that he's heading, it's not lost on anybody, and least of all on the Maharashtra electorate, that when history is written, it will be written that he is the one who changed the names of the cities. So this is just that, because no politician calls it quits, right? He's going to go away probably in a floor test, but going to go with the determination to fight another day. So I think think as a politician, it is his last act, and of course, last act in this government. And I think Pawar would have joined hands with him to give him that last act of glory. As far as the Congress is concerned, they really don't matter in this. They can go whichever way they want in the Aghadi. Nobody really cares. They have to do exactly what Pawar tells. But I think what is important to note out here is that Pawar egging him on to take on the chief ministership and stay on in that is, I think, whatever they might say that he's Kudumb Samrat and he's Maharashtra Samrat, that image has got dented in the way he has clung on to the chair. So, while the Shiv Sena might come on shows and put up a brave front, and justifiably so, but what has happened is that Pawar Saab has managed to dent Uddhav's image, not supported his image.
Well, that's a very, very astute observation being made by one of the finest political analysts here, Smita Prakash, when I want to draw attention to what's happening in the Supreme Court now. Everything is going against them. The tide is turning as far as the numbers are concerned. But Singhvi, who's arguing, viewers, for the Aghadi Sarkar, has come out and now questioned the governor, the speaker, everybody. Floor test, Singhvi says, is irreversible. Can annul floor test later if required, says Supreme Court. Big clash. But viewers, this is what Singhvi says. Those who believe that the speaker is only political and governor can never be political, I tell them, wake up and smell the coffee. Don't live in ivory towers. The Congress, of course, speaking from years of experience, viewers, there. Remember,
he's
the culture.
Not Congress here. He's a lawyer, even though he's from the Congress. He's speaking as a lawyer out here.
Yes, I understand that. All I'm saying is that when he is speaking, he is also invoking the past, because he says, wake up and smell the coffee, don't live in ivory towers. And I'm saying that the Congress...
This is the larger issue.
No, the Congress...
To say that the speaker could be biased and all is a larger issue. This is not on the constitution.
No, actually it's quite germane here, because
of the speaker's job.
It is quite germane here, Smita Prakash, because the whole argument there is that the speaker has acted in a precipitate manner by disqualifying MLAs whose bona fides need to be established as being true to the cause of moving across to uphold ideological lines. So they are doing their job. They should not be disqualified. And therefore, even if the speaker tomorrow acts to disqualify these individuals, that should be struck down. So there's that larger debate going on. I agree with you. But the fact of the matter is, viewers, today, Mr. Singhvi is calling out the governor. He's calling out the speaker, and I want to go straight across to Nilashish for more on that. Nilashish, this is a big turn of events. Madhav also joins us. Nilashish, first to you. Big turn.
Well, yes, absolutely, Abhishek Manu Singhvi. This is not out of line with what he had been arguing earlier, saying very simply that if a floor test is held tomorrow and the speaker holding them disqualified later, the result is irreversible. He says that a defector can always send a no-confidence resolution against the speaker and get away without considering the facts invoking the Nabam Rabia case, and there will be no 10th schedule. He says that there will be no 10th schedule. He said this before, that the 10th schedule is as good as being thrown out if this is allowed to continue at the way it is. So he has obviously brought in the decision of the governor under the scanner, saying that he acted in haste and he should not have done the same, when in fact the parallel proceedings are already pending before the apex court.
Yeah.
So therefore he again continues to press for a delay in terms of the floor test that has been ordered by the governor.
Absolutely, Madhav. All pokers now in the fire. It began first with questioning if the Supreme Court is ending up interdicting the process, number one. So in some senses, and he's within his rights, Dr. Singhvi is within his rights. He's of course arguing moot points there. Then he shifts to taking on whether these MLAs are bona fide MLAs or they are actually defectors who need to be actually disqualified. And therefore, the decision on their disqualification should be taken first, because otherwise the vote will be vitiated. Then he went on to say that, well, if floor test is irreversible, and if tomorrow the Supreme Court rules that these MLAs should be disqualified, what are we going to do? It'll create confusion. Then he moves a little further out. He questions the Speaker himself and his bona fides. Then the Governor and the Governor's own bona fides.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, it's very interesting to contrast the way in which Singhvi's arguments, and of course, as you rightly said, he's going to make the best argument possible for his clients in this particular case. And of course, he has said that the governor's actions are, of course, he believes not above board because he has consulted with the leader of opposition, but not consulted the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister, whose aid and advice the governor is supposed to take. At the same time, he has said that the Speaker should be free to take his decision because he has cited certain judgments to say that the Speaker's decision cannot be judicially reviewed until the final decision has been taken by the Speaker, which is why he is asking the court to postpone matters until the 11th. He's also said that for 6 months, if this floor test takes place, constitutionally speaking, there cannot be another floor test.
Okay.
And therefore, even those MLAs who may be either abroad or may have COVID and are unwell, all of them will not be able to attend at such a short notice. What is very interesting, though, is what Justice Kant has actually mentioned in response to some of these arguments, because he had gone on earlier to say that hypothetically, as you say, the power of the governor to issue notice for floor test does not need advice of Council of Ministers. Proceed on that basis. Assuming a floor test takes place, who are competent to participate? That is what is to be decided. So
that is what is to be decided, and the Supreme Court seems to suggest that, look, this is a reversible process. If tomorrow these individuals are disqualified, we can have a second floor test. Not a problem. Not a problem. So the moot question now, and I want to go back to our panelists, is if you have the numbers, then why not uphold the spirit of the Bomai judgment and go in for a floor test? Mr. Supariwala, Sanjay Jha, Mr. Supariwala, first to you. If you have the numbers, go prove it where it matters. Let's have the floor test. Why are you running away from it?
Are you asking me or Mr. Jha?
Yes, sir. I'm asking you.
First and foremost, let me tell you one thing. The disqualification of the rebels were announced on the 11th or 12th of July, which we were waiting. Now suddenly this has come up. So it is a little confusing right now. What is the decision taken? If that decision, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Decision is taken now, then again, if it is again to be taken again after that disqualification or not. So I think it is better, we cannot interfere in the court proceedings, but it is always better that we wait for the disqualification or not. That's a question right now.
Many people will say you're running away from a floor test. You want to buy time. You want to delay it because you don't want to face the inevitable. You are hoping that you can buy some time to win back people through whatever methods, changing names at the last moment of cities, or then perhaps approaching them and convincing them using other means.
No, that is not the only way. We were always confident. We were always confident. Are you asking me or Mr. Jha?
I'm asking you.
Okay. Still there is a confusion. You are unable to understand what I'm trying to say is that we were waiting for the Supreme Court judgment about the 11th July term because we were against the rebels and whatever was happening. Now we are not playing any tactics or anything. We were very confident.
Okay.
We were very confident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly, Dr. Trivedi, before I move on, we are being told that the Supreme Court order will now be announced at 9 p.m. So in half an hour, viewers, we will bring you the Supreme Court order. Dr. Trivedi, respond to Supariwala saying that, look, let's first get rid of these, the question, the doubts over the disqualification, then we will vote. We are not running away from a floor test.
Mr. Singhvi has said that he has raised a certain point over the governor. Yes, of course. It was a Congress-appointed governor because of which the court was compelled to deliver the S.R. Bomai judgment. I am from Uttar Pradesh. In 1998, Ramesh Bhandari has dismissed the government and 243 legislators were parading in front of Rashtrapati Bhavan and the government has to withdraw it. You remember in Jharkhand, while giving the judgment, Supreme Court had said, if the petitioner is correct, then it seems that the governor has done fraud on constitution. You remember in Bihar, Bhutta Singh case. So that's what their experience is. That's how they misuse the office of the governor. And that's why there is only one way. If they are having majority, then what's the problem going into the floor test? But trying to avoid the floor test is nothing but their moral defeat, And when the floor test will be there, it will be their political defeat. And when they will leave the office, it will be the constitutional defeat.
Okay,
So
very
moral,
quickly, 30
constitutional,
seconds,
and
Sanjay
political
Jha.
on all these
30
things,
seconds, please.
the
I need to move on to the other
Mahavikas
big debate
Aghadi
of the
is on a
day.
weak wicket.
Yes.
Rahul, the point that I think Abhishek Manu Singhvi has made in the Supreme Court is actually the way forward. What he said is either you postpone the floor test or you prepone the disqualification verdict that you need to pass. I mean, ultimately, it looks illogical and absurd that you have people who may be disqualified in 2 weeks who are voting as legitimate people in a no trust vote to overthrow a government when they are part of the same ruling party. So either way, there must be clarity. After all, defection is immoral, unethical, and unprincipled. And we can't afford to endorse that because there is also a constitutional process and the Supreme Court has precedents to work on.
Okay.
But there has to be a compromise.
Well, let me viewers, let me tell you, at 9 o'clock, the Supreme Court is going to pronounce the order. Whether there will be a floor test, whether the disqualified will be allowed to vote, or will they be disqualified finally, we will have to wait and see. There's no point trying to preempt the Supreme Court now. But viewers, I need to move on to another very